The Public Servants Association is awaiting to request the Department of Public Service and Administration to consider bringing back the work-from-home policy for public workers. This as South Africa feels the impact of the rolling blackouts. Let's get more details now. We're joined by Claude Naika, who is the PSA's national manager. Thank you so much, Claude, for your time this evening. You want the work-from-home policy to return. Why?
Yeah, very good afternoon to you. Thank you for having me. Well, it seems like the load shedding is going to be with us for some time. We're not sure when the situation is going to be rectified. And in the interim, we noticed that just not public servants, but all citizens are considering it very difficult to actually get to work. You'll notice a lot of time is spent on the road just trying to get to work simply because robos are non-functional at this stage. So we felt that we've written to the Department of Public Service and Administration, as well as the Public Service Coordinating Bargaining Council, to indicate that we should consider a work-from-home policy. So this will alleviate the problems in the morning when public servants are getting to work. If they are either working from home or alternatively consider a rotation policy, then you'll have fewer cars on the road, thereby creating less traffic jams in the morning and obviously easing the burden on other citizens that need to get to work on a daily basis.
Have you received a response? Pardon me.
Sorry?
Pardon me for coming in there. I thought you were done. Have you received a response?
No, we've only written to them on Thursday, so we're calling for an urgent meeting with the Bargaining Council so that we can discuss it with the state as the employer. You will recall during COVID, at one stage there was a total lockdown and public servants were working from home, and this worked exceptionally well. And then as the stages had grown a little lower, then public servants were working on a rotation base. This also worked very well. And I think this also eased the burden of the traffic on the road. Also, you'll realize a number of government departments are consumers of electricity during the day. So if there are fewer public servants at work, or if there's no public servants at work, and if they are working from home, I think this will reduce the electricity consumption. This is another way that the PSA has thought of, that we can ease the burden on the state or even on ESCOM as far as the load shedding concerns are. I think during COVID, it worked very well. During this time, it will work very well. I heard this morning as well that the U.S. government has also indicated and weighed in their concerns as far as the load shedding is going to have on the economy, as far as their stakeholders that are currently doing business in South Africa, as the impacts of the serious load shedding that is continuing.
And Claude, Pardon me, how concerned are you that, productivity levels may drop? Because if they are at home and there's stage 6, there's, 4 hours and 4 hours of no electricity at some point, totaling in some instances 11 and a half hours of no electricity. Are you not concerned that if they are home, they may not be able to be as productive as they should be?
We're looking at predominantly calling upon the non-service departments. In other words, those departments that are not obviously servicing citizens of daily, like Department of Home Affairs, Department of Transport, Motor Licensing Bureau. So those employees we're calling perhaps for a rotation policy or for them to go to work, but those other departments that don't service the public at large, we're asking for them to obviously be at home, or that the state to consider that they work from home. I think what can be done in an ordinary sense, beside employees, normal people, what they do is that they work around the schedule of the load shedding. So in other words, if they are aware that between 12 and 2 there's going to be a load shedding, then most of the work are done between 8 and 12. So we work around that. Even home executives that decide that they want to cook, what they do is that they prepare the meals much quicker, or they prepare the meals much earlier, knowing that load shedding is going to take place between 6 and 8. It might not be the ideal situation, but I think it might be a situation that is far more conducive than what we're facing at this moment. You might get a lot of productivity whilst people are at home because they can work around the load shedding schedule. In some government departments, you'll notice that when there is load shedding, there's no work taking place at all. So during that time, if they're home, they can deal with other issues. And then when the electricity is on, they can get on with their work. So I think if you come up with the policy, you come up with a schedule, you come up with ideas as to how we can work around the load shedding, I think we can make this work.
Are you confident that this will be granted? And if it's not, what happens?
Look, we're not saying it's going to be granted. We're calling on the state as employer to seriously consider this. If you look at the morning and if you take a practical solution or you take a practical scenario, you look at the number of hours that are spent on the road actually getting to work, that might be problematic. But if public servants that are working from home during that time, they can get a lot done during that time. We're hoping that the state will consider this favorably. I think if they don't consider it, it would be naive. We can start in stages, but we need to come up with some practical solutions as quickly as possible. If they do discount the idea totally, I think it would be totally naive, and productivity will fall at an all-time low while people are sitting at work with no electricity and doing nothing at all.
Claude, I'm keen to hear your thoughts on this one. I'm not sure if you saw the update that we received this afternoon from the presidency on the progress made by the National Energy Crisis Committee 6 months later. And there are various updates in that report back, but I'm keen to hear your thoughts on the fact that a team of independent experts has been established to work closely with Eskom to diagnose the problems at poorly performing power stations and take action to improve those particular plants. Now, we've been hearing so much about what is possibly going on, and now here's a panel. What do you make of it?
Well, look, anything that's going to solve the crisis that we have now, I think the PSA and other citizens of the country will surely welcome. I think it's a bit late. A lot of damage has been done, not only to the working class, but people that are self-employed that cannot sustain employment of other people while load shedding is taking place. But if there's an initiative to get rid of the load shedding or to try and ease the burden of load shedding at this stage, we definitely welcome it. But while the experts are busy analyzing and experimenting and looking at this, public servants can also ease the burden of the load shedding. We can do a lot from home. A lot of people, as a result of load shedding, have resorted to other measures to try and get power into their homes, like inverters and solar panels and what have you. Simple devices like Wi-Fi, they do not consume a lot of power as far as working with them. So I think public servants who have the necessary tools will be able to utilize even their home Wi-Fi at home to try and get productivity get going again, or try and get productivity going on a normal basis.
All right, Claude, please keep us updated on that meeting then, if it does happen, and where things then go on this particular call that you are making here. Do appreciate your time this evening. That is Claude Naika, PSA's national manager. And they're calling for the public servants to work from home. And they're saying that, this will also cut the time that they spend in traffic, and to be able to do their work and also be able to continue working even from home during, load shedding, and be able to structure their lives even better. So let's see if the department agrees with this one and what becomes of this particular call by PSA. We'll bring you more on it as it unfolds.